All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the stock market update. It is Monday, April 25th, and wow, there's a lot to talk about because on Friday, stocks fall. The Dow has its worst day since 2020. The S&P and Nasdaq have 3 losing weeks in a row. This morning, fear about a COVID breakout in China, so we got to talk about this, and heavy earnings week. More than 160 companies are reporting earnings. Plus, we'll show you how we trade these crazy markets. But before we dive in, and I show you what's moving the markets. Hi, I'm Markus Heitkoetter. This is my head coach, Mark Hodge, and together we have more than 47 years of trading experience. And every morning we sift through a mountain of news websites, newsletters, and reports, and then we take the most important news and go live right here to share with you what you need to know as you head into your trading day. If this is your first time here, I know it can be a little bit overwhelming, but don't worry. We have a special video just for you that I will link to in the description, and that's a great place to get started. All right, Mark, Monday morning. And before we take a look at the charts and how we are trading the markets, let me share something with you real quick, because I'm still in Boston here with Vivian and Julius. And yesterday, Vivian wanted to go to a cool coffee shop called the Thinking Cup on Hanover Street here. That's a famous street. And she went there last year when she visited Julius and said, they have the best salmon bagel ever. Ooh. Dang. See, I'm still trying this keto thing, so I really shouldn't have a salmon bagel, at least a bagel in salmon bagel. Anyhow, so he looked at me a little bit sad and said, so you're not going to have the best salmon bagel ever with me? All right, so here we are, the world champion fight. Keto versus disappointed teenage daughter. Knockout in the first 2 seconds, making my daughter happy, wins 1,000,000 to 0 against keto. So I said, yeah, well, but weird luck. Today is my cheat day. So we took an Uber to the coffee shop and ordered 2 of the best 7 bagels ever. Oh, unfortunately, it seems they must have changed something, because both Vivian and I agreed that the bagels were just okay and no longer deserved their title. Anyhow, so before we left the coffee shop, Vivian wanted to have something sweet, and so we decided to go for Boston cream pie. Have you ever had a Boston cream pie?
I have. Pretty tasty.
It's good. We ordered it to go and then enjoyed it in the sun, and see, happy, smiley face. And then we went to watch Julius racing. Unfortunately, by then, the sun had disappeared and the wind had picked up. So we stood at the Charles River watching Julius race, and we are cold. It's 48 degrees here, minus the wind chill. So cold, not used to it. And so, as you can see, we're not dressed in it at all. After all, in Austin, it's a balmy, 89, 87 degrees or something like this. And yeah. I mean, I can hear all of you viewers say, there's no such thing as bad weather, there's just bad clothing. Have you ever heard that, Mark? You're wrong.
I've not heard that one, but there's a point there.
No. You're wrong. You're dead wrong. Because for Vivian and I, sitting on the bench at the Charles River, huddled together and watching Julius sailing while the wind was blowing through our light jackets as if we didn't wear them, it was bad weather. That was bad weather. Now, on the other hand, for Julius and the other sailors, it was great because the wind was perfect for sailing. When, oh boy, we were miserable. And I think even with warmer clothes, we would have still been miserable. I'm just not made for cold weather. And yeah, I know. In Germany, it's really cold in winter, but that's why I left and moved to Texas. I don't know about you, but I'm much happier when it's sunny and the temperatures are in the 70s and 80s. And when I'm cloudy and it's windy and temperatures in the 40s, not that happy. But you see, so talking about trading, it's same true when trading, right? Because the choppy market conditions that we saw in the first quarter in the past few months here probably destroyed a bunch of trading accounts. And for us, it was one of the best quarters ever. I'll actually link to a YouTube video here at the end of this show here where you can see my results. So it's not about the market conditions. It's all about what strategies you use to trade them. And I can tell you, the strategy that Vivian and I used for the cold weather, here's what we did. We decided to get some lunch and then get back to the hotel to warm up. And then we met Julius after sailing, and we spent a great evening together. Anyhow, so this worked much better. Okay, but let's actually talk about the markets and what is happening here. Boy, what a Friday.
Absolutely, Marks. Hey, sounds like you're having a great time. That's awesome.
We're
Next
enjoying
time,
our
bring your
time.
jacket. Bring your Boston jacket. No, I mean, gosh, Marcus, I think we need to talk about the Dow. Really, I know you have the S&P
Yeah, let's
up,
bring up the
but
Dow.
so we see the Dow there. We're on a daily chart, and Friday was just open and drop. So a big slide on Friday. The Dow having its worst one-day performance since 2020. Back in October 2020 is when the Dow had a worst day. Dropped more than 900 points, almost 1,000 points. Pushed the index into its fourth weekly loss in a row.
Yeah, so the Dow already had 4 weekly losses. So here we are in the weekly chart. Looks a little bit harmless there. And if you look at the S&P on a weekly chart, looks much different. And the S&P and Nasdaq had 3 weekly losses. I switched back to a daily chart because they also had pretty bad days on Friday. So pretty much all indices are massively down. And I mean, we came out of a good March. I mean, March was like, hey, this looks good. And now we're
Yeah.
back. I mean, the Nasdaq is now back in bear market territory.
Yeah, interesting to see the change there. In April, right? April tends to be a good month for the indices historically, but this time, given up the March gains and now the S&P is down, I think 5.7% for the month.
Yeah.
Uh, so having a tough time.
Yeah, and also falling below its 50-day moving average again. I mean, we brought up the 50-day, and it held pretty well last week above the 50-day, but then boom, Thursday and Friday just wiped it out. Okay, so let's talk about it. Well, what's on the agenda for this week? Because last week it was all about well, basically interest rates, right? This is where we had the the 10-year yield scratching 3% last week because Powell was speaking. But this week, different story.
At least kicking it off, it sounds like the flavor of the week is the COVID breakout in China, and concerns there, Asian markets cratering, and just the slowdown in the Shanghai or in the was it Shanghai or what region was it in China? Either way,
Yeah,
just I mean, crude oil getting hammered. Oh, there you go. You bringing up the
the
Shanghai
Shanghai
Composite.
Composite. I mean, it's at a 52-week low right now. I mean, it got
Yeah.
hammered down 5%.
And that's trickling into U.S. markets, really for two reasons. Oil's getting hammered now because demand could be slowing, and that's having an impact on energy stocks. But you also have concerns about the supply chain again, right? It seems like every time we start to get out of this supply chain issue, now if there's products that can't be produced in China and then delivered on time, and then we're already dealing with inflation, and that was blamed on supply chain issues. How long is this going to go?
Yeah, and I mean, this was super interesting this morning because everything is down. Look at this. The 10-year yield this morning down almost 3%. Then, as you just said, crude oil down 5%, and the indices are down. So we will take a look at what's happening here in pre-market trading at the stock index futures. But boy, I mean, this is where this morning we're not off to a good start. I mean, it seems that we have a continuation of the sell-off here of Thursday and Friday.
Exactly, because I mean, if the Fed is using interest rates to combat inflation, and one of the big unknowns, but supposedly something that could help inflation was more product, more supply. Because if supply jumps and then inflation is being combated by interest rates, you kind of have this nice scenario for things to calm down a bit. Right now, that's not the case,
Yeah.
but traders are now turning their attention to something else.
Yeah, but looking at the week ahead, let's take a look here at the economic calendar to see what is happening. So, I mean, the economic calendar fairly light, but we definitely have the consumer confidence here tomorrow. That's an orange flag, so not that big. But I think the big one will be on Friday, the core PCE price index. So, I mean, this is another inflation, yeah, gauge, and the Fed
Yeah.
is paying somewhat attention to it. But I mean, right now we want to know, okay, has inflation peaked? Is this over? And until then, I think it will be all about earnings.
And that's something else that I was referring to. It's a busy week, the busiest week yet for earnings.
Yeah, I mean, who all do we have reporting earnings? I mean, we have 160 companies reporting earnings out of the S&P 500. So that's
Sure.
almost a third of the companies.
Yeah, that's a lot. And they're big names. Amazon, Apple, Alphabet.
Yeah.
There you have
So I'm bringing up Apple. I mean, we don't have to go through every one, but yeah, well, what else do we have there this week? It's mainly
Facebook
tech
or
stocks that are reporting.
Meta and Microsoft.
Yeah. So this will be a big one. And I mean, I think the big theme for companies this week is don't pull a Netflix. Because last week Netflix got hammered. I mean, down 35%. So that's kind of crazy. And that's basically, right now, people are fearing that maybe Facebook could have a similar fate here than Netflix. So we'll see. That'll be super interesting this week.
Agreed.
All right. Then also on the weekend, well, we have the Woodstock for Capitalists, Berkshire Hathaway's annual shareholder meeting in person again. So this will be where in
Okay.
Omaha, right?
Yeah. So the first time in person since 2019. They've done it virtually because of COVID, and we'll see what good old Warren has to say.
Yeah. All right. So the key question is, how are we trading the markets this week? What are we going to do, Mark?
Well, look for opportunities, and this is where when we have this downward move, selling premium and selling puts in particular can be a nice way to make money.
Yeah, I mean, we had a really good day on Friday selling premium, right? What were the new positions that we entered on Friday?
We
Let me just see.
entered Wells
Macy's and
Fargo
Wells
again, right?
Fargo. Hmm?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Wells Fargo.
Wells Fargo. So here we sold, I need to adjust it, the 40, which one did we sell? The 4450 puts.
Yeah,
So let me adjust this. So it was the 4450 puts expiring this week. So that's great. We'll see what happens there. Let me adjust the coordinates. And then we sold Macy's again.
Macy's again. Yep.
So Macy's has been popping up on the scanner recently, and it has been good because it's just going sideways. So there's also the puts expiring on Friday. Which one did we do with the 23, right?
23. Yep.
23. So, I mean, and we have been collecting premium here very, very nicely. And I mean, we just stick to our plan. I received a comment on YouTube where somebody said, oh my gosh, the markets are crashing, the markets are falling. Are you adjusting your strategy? No, we're not, right? I mean, we just trade our strategy and follow our plan.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like even when markets can be tricky, there's going to be stocks that stand out. Like Macy's in particular, it's holding up well in spite of the Dow being down 4 weeks straight and Nasdaq being back in correction territory, right?
Yeah.
So another advantage too is when you're selling premium and there's more fear in the market, premiums go up. So that means we could collect even more, or we could be more conservative with where we go to sell strikes. So it's actually a bonus.
Yeah, talking about the fear factor, I brought up the VIX, which is the fear gauge, and I mean it's now scratching 30 again. You see, it has been in the low 20s, between 20 and 25, jumping higher on Friday. This morning, briefly trading at 30. Right now, retracing a little bit. So we'll take a look at what the markets are doing pre-market here in just a moment. But I want to bring up one more thing before we take a look at this. Did you see the new Amazon headquarters that they want to build in Virginia?
I did not.
In Arlington, look at this. Isn't this looking
Okay.
cool?
That's fancy.
Right? That's what I thought. It looks really, really fancy. So it's in Arlington, and they just gave approval and said, yeah, sure, you can build it. So I think it looks pretty cool. All right.
Interesting.
So let's take a look at the pre-market action here. So let's actually start with the E-mini S&P, and I'll bring up a 5-minute chart here. And here we see, I mean, considering that the Shanghai market has sold off by 5%, futures are hanging in there. I mean, we're pointing to a slightly lower opening, but only by 0.3%.
And things are that loss is actually getting smaller too. We've seen that the futures markets are starting to head higher as we approach the open. So we'll see if we can close that gap.
Yeah. So Nasdaq, very, very similar picture here. And pretty much all three indices are in line this morning. So it looks like the Dow is opening with a 0.26, 0.27% loss. The Nasdaq might open with 0.3% loss, and so does the S&P. So pretty much in line. There's no rotation going on right now. It's just the fear over the COVID outbreak there in China and how this can impact US companies. All right, cool. Well, as promised, I'll link to a video here that shows you exactly how I did in the first quarter. So take a look at this. There's also another cool video for you. And then have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow morning in the stock market update.
Happy trading, everybody.